welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south. It's the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful February the 19th, 2021. Rondo Deportes, bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, we're just getting by, but we're not sitting around laughing like Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who is going to be gouging the citizens of Texas after this freeze down went on down there over the oil and gas prices that he controls in that state. He's going to make $1 billion out of this tragedy that's killing many people down in the state of Texas. But once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, first responders. They're taking care of all those people that's having problems down there.
They're taking care of everybody. We'll do our part. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, just tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars also all around the world. Say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and he'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away. And I really do appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing. It's actually hot in California, but I'll never pause on our military veterans hotline. Big C, why should everybody care?
Well, Charlton, through these troubled times that we have in America, our military has never stopped. They go on at all times. But Charlton, unfortunately, we lose 24 veterans a day to suicide, more than 24 veterans, and that has become a crisis in America within itself.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a way to stem the tide of that, Charlton. I know we give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton. We do a tiny part. It's not enough. All American citizens should take heed of what's going on with our great veterans that have served this country. I know there's many a crisis going on in America, from the pandemic to COVID-19 to the freezing down in the southwestern part of the United States, Charlton. But our veterans have been there to serve regardless of whether or crises that have gone on in the world or even in this country. We need to make a worldly effort to help those veterans in the United States.
I love doing our part. Very well said, Big C. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can definitely get some help for all of our veterans. Also very happy to be affiliated with Valley Homes Weekly TV on Dish TV, Direct TV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants, and the Say Hey Kid, as well as the home run king Barry Bonds. When you reach out to them, just tell them Big C sent you. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country, putting people back to work, just like McDonald's does it. Car dealerships do it. Watch sports teams do it too. TV and real estate can work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com and you can get some help. Most of our loans are underwritten by Rocket Mortgage, the #1 lender in the country on the wholesale side. I also want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see all of our apps pop up, and I really do appreciate the way things are grown with Big C Sports. Man, Big C, I know there's a lot of, frozen temperatures. People boiling water in Texas. But at the same time in California, it feels like it's 75 degrees. People are actually running around in wintertime. And I don't know if some people, people do what they want to do, but some people run around with their backside hanging out of the bottom of the trunks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's nobody down here running around like that. It's been freezing for the past couple of days, and everybody's putting on as much garments as they can.
Yeah, California's a little bit different, Big C. People running around, hardly any clothes on some of these people. It's all fair. And love and Lord, do whatever you got to do to enjoy life. I know, again, I was reading and it's actually watching some things on the news about what's going on down in Texas. And you got a friend by the name of Ted Cruz down in Texas, the Senator Ted Cruz. And he said that it was so cold in Texas, he decided to take his family down to Cancun so they could get warm, Big C. But of all the criticism, he decided to climb back over the border wall and come back to Texas and say he blamed it on his kids for leaving, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's just part of the hypocrisy of the Republican Party. You know, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, I was hearing 1/3 of Texas is actually boiling water. I know you talked about Jerry Jones making a lot of money, but it's amazing how many people just don't read and they voted for that man who helped cause an insurrection, Ted Cruz, with all this garbage, Big C. And then when it gets too cold, he takes his family down to a place they built the wall for you to get out of the country to go to. It's all fair and love and war. I want to touch on some Black History Month, and I'm hoping, praying that the great people of Texas, at least the good people of Texas, if that makes sense to you, I hope that they're going to be okay. Ted Cruz, I have nothing else to say to him. It's all fair and love and war. When you think about what happened with spending all that time and energy trying to build a wall in Texas to keep out that, brown-skinned colored people, people from SO countries, as your friend the old POTUS once said, I want to touch on Black history, Big C. The 14th Amendment, citizenship rights, and equal protection. Section 1, all persons born are naturalized in the United States and subject to jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the states wherein they reside, Big C. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or the pursuit of happiness without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction the equal protections of the law. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I wonder when law enforcement, when they take an oath to serve and protect, do they read the 14th Amendment? I wonder if our politicians pay attention to the 14th Amendment, especially on the Republican side. When we see the atrocities that are done to black people and people of color in this country, Charlton, all the obstructions that are put in front of those cultures of people, Charlton, to help them not be American citizens, not be accepted in society, to be treated differently, and looked at as not being people, Charlton.
Yeah, well, obviously the answer is probably no, Big C. I mean, I'm not even being flippant. The answer is probably no. I want to also just bring this up. When you look at the amendments, Big C, the 26th Amendment, the right to vote at age 18, that was passed by Congress March 23rd, 1971. Section 1. People need to understand this, and they'll probably only hear it on Big C Sports because a lot of our other sports brethren are arguing about who's a better athlete. It's all fair and love and war. But Section 1, the right of citizens of the United States of America who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or any state in account of age, Big C. As of today, there are 33 different state houses that have proposed 165 legislative changes to make the opportunity for minorities in America harder to vote. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, like I said, I wonder if these elected officials really read the Constitution. They're always stumping about constitutional law. That's what we heard during this past impeachment, Charlton.
Yeah.
Constitutional law. But yet those same people who wanted to quote the constitutional law on protecting your buddy Donald Trump, they don't quote that constitutional law when it comes to protecting the voting rights of black people. When you saw that 4 states were challenged, Charlton, they were sued by your buddy Donald Trump because a large number of black people lived in those metropolis populations and voted Democrat.
Yeah.
And he wanted to have those votes thrown out, saying that black people didn't have a right to vote, not based on the Constitution, but based on white feelings. Yeah,
it's amazing in Black History Month. I know a lot of times people just got to read about things and go through the process, due process. I want to bring up something that I think is important. I like, especially in Black History Month, trying to deal with people, nominating people that have actually achieved a great deal more in life as well as on the athletic fields. Big C, this gentleman finished his career as the only player in college football history at the time to pass for 10,000 yards and rush for 4,000 yards, was the only player to ever pass or rush for 1,000 yards and throw for 2,000 yards in the 3 consecutive years, Big C. He was a 3-time all-conference selection, a freshman of the year in his conference in 2007, an offensive player of the year in 2008 and 2010. He finished his career with 10,098 passing yards, 82 touchdowns, Big C, 24 interceptions. He was 4,112 rushing yards, 59 rushing touchdowns. Led his team to one of the greatest seasons in school history, finished with a 13-1 record, won a conference championship, and also won a bowl game. They finished ranked 11 in the country, Big C. He finished in the Heisman Trophy balloting, one of the top selections, Big C. Selected in the second round of the 2011 draft by an NFL team where he played 6 seasons. Even led his team to a Super Bowl. It's amazing. He began sitting and then kneeling during the national anthem to bring attention to racial injustice and police brutality and systemic oppression that's even been acknowledged by the current president of the United States, Big C, Joseph Biden. He went on to found the Know Your Rights campaign. It's important, Big C, an organization that holds free seminars for disadvantaged youth to teach them about self-empowerment, American history, and legal rights. He's been widely recognized for his social activism, winning prestigious awards, including the 2017 GQ Citizen of the Year Award, 2017 Sports Illustrated Muhammad Ali Legacy Award, Big C, the 2017. Think about this, it's so important. Civil Liberties Union Easton Monroe Courageous Advocate Award, and the 2018 Harvard University W.E.B. Du Bois Medal. Most recently, this gentleman was selected along with the nation's top infectious disease expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci, who advises President Biden, for the 2020 Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Ripple of Hope honoree. His name is Colin Kaepernick, and the NFL still says that he can't get an interview for a job. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I don't think that Colin Kaepernick has any interest in going back into the NFL, Charlton. It's all the others that are advocating and stomping for him. You just read off a list of accomplishments that have become a priority in Colin Kaepernick's life. He'll do that a lot longer than what he'll ever done playing in the NFL.
Yeah, it's just amazing that there are so many. We just talked about the gentleman that Urban Meyer tried to bring onto his staff down for the Jacksonville Jaguars with all the blippity-blop and bloppity-blop language. And it took a good old boys to say, wait a minute, that's not the kind of guy we're looking for. These aren't the droids you're looking for, according to Star Wars. But just so many great things that Colin Kaepernick's done. I wish everybody nothing but the best. But he's fought for so many opportunities. And oftentimes people still say, I can't believe he didn't stand for the flag. Did not cause the insurrection. But a lot of NFL owners voted for a man and gave millions of dollars to a man who caused an insurrection. It's all fair and love and war. Just some more knowledge about Black History Month. Speaking of Cap not getting an opportunity, whether people say he doesn't want a job or not, no man wants to go unemployed, Big C. From 2009 through 2016, there were 22 quarterbacks drafted in the first round in the NFL, Big C. None of these quarterbacks remain with the original drafting team. I'm just going to throw that thought to you and get your thoughts on that, Big C. Your thoughts.
Well, Charleston, this is how the NFL moves along. I mean, it's about right now in the league. It's not about building for the future any longer in the NFL. Those days went away before free agency, Charleston. Now it's about instant success. When you see the amount of money that they're paying these players in these organizations, they want to see productivity today, Charleston, not next week. It's just like today. The NFL, as a consorted group, released over 60 players from the league today. That means players are without a job.
Yeah.
And this is just the first wave that's starting to come. But you look at 60 veterans today, Charlton, are without a job, without a paycheck. So the NFL is going to move on. And when you talk about those quarterbacks, they're just part of that commodity trail.
Yeah, imagine how many underclassmen declared to opt out of college and getting an education so they could try to get one of those jobs, and you got dozens of athletes being released, and some guy coming out of college saying, I'm going to get the job, and that's going to be my future. And there are guys who had a paycheck coming from the NFL, last month. I don't have it today, but I'm sure things will work out, Big C. I want to just, when you think about that, I want to take you to this NFL thoughts. Could the 2021 NFL offseason, could it match the 1990, Big C, like the 1999 season? You know, Prince sang a song about partying like it's 1999. But the 16 teams, 16 of the 32, Big C, they actually changed quarterbacks. At that time, President Bill Clinton was in his second term in office in September of 1999. The number one song was one of your favorite entertainers, Julio Iglesias, Big C, Belamos, Aaron Sorkin's The West Wing, which I really used to sit down and record The West Wing and watch that all the time. It was 1 week away from his debut, Big C. And then there are 9 new coaches in the league as the NFL began the most drastic shuffling ever of its quarterback deck, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, this is what we're seeing right now in 2021. We've already seen 3 starting quarterbacks, 2 of them former number 1 overall draft picks, and one the second quarterback taken in one of those years in the draft, the number 2 draft pick, Charlton, moved teams already. So there's really no security. There's probably about a dozen teams right now, maybe even less, Charlton, who really know who their starting quarterback is going to be in the 2021 season.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, Big C. Just like 1999, people were running and hiding and hoping their computers didn't blow up on them, etc. It's all fair, love, and war. But I'm just going to throw some names at you. You think about Baltimore Ravens, quarterback Scott Mitchell. Mitchell opened the 1999 season, if you recall. He was a starter for the Ravens. And think about this. He replaced the departed Harbaugh, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, a lot of people don't realize how Scott Mitchell got his job when Dan Marino blew out his Achilles tendon. He stepped in a backup role, had a few good games. Charlton led him to a big free agency contract. He went to Baltimore. John Harbaugh had to move on.
Yeah.
Jim Harbaugh, rather.
Yeah, Jim had to move on, Big Z. And he's been moving on. The Harbaugh name has held a very good mantra. Who's got it better than us? Not too many people in the Harbaugh family have been doing their thing in the world of college and NFL. Think about the team that made a nice meteoric rise this year, the Buffalo Bills, with the Bills Mafia, Big C. Great, maybe one of the best fan bases in the history of sports. Quarterback, Doug Flutie. Maybe his best play ever was when Boston College beat the University of Miami in the ring. But think about this. Rob Johnson, who started 6 games for the Bills in 1998, was replaced by the great Doug Flutie, who also played up in Canada and won some games up there in Canada and came back to the NFL. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, Doug Flutie never got a decent shot in the NFL, Charlton, playing with 4 different teams in his NFL career. But when he was with the Buffalo Bills and took over in the 99 season, he took that team to 11-5 regular season and got benched for the playoff game, and the Bills lost.
Yeah, he was so dominant and such a great player. Reminded me a lot of Joe Theismann, who also played up in Canada. Fran Tarkenton, he reminded me a lot of Fran Tarkenton. That's a good old boy that could play, he could scramble, but never got the love that you would have thought they would have given him, especially in New England. The good old boy went to Boston College, Big C. He had more success, in my opinion, than Ryan, Matt Ryan down in Atlanta. But everybody loves who they love. It's all fair in love and war. Carolina Panthers quarterback Steve Burling. Think about this. He played at Servite High School in Anaheim, California, and he went on to Notre Dame University. He replaced the great Kerry Collins during the 1998 season. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, and Burline went on that year in Carolina, Charlton, to have a career year throwing the football, throwing for over 4,200 yards that season, and lead the Panthers to a playoff berth.
Yeah, he led the Panthers to a playoff berth. You know, back in high school, Servite Anaheim, they won the state championship in California. Their only loss, they traveled back to the Midwest, and they lost to Moeller High School of Cincinnati, the Ohio State champion, and he still has a kind of a critch in his neck where they were face masking the California team so much, Big C. He still feels the face masking from those Ohio football players. It's all fair in love and war, going back to some high school love, Friday Night Lights. Big C, the Chicago Bears. Man, the Bears, I love their uniforms. I love the way they've done New Soldier Field, Big C. Quarterback Shane Matthews, Eric Kramer, the 1998 starter, had signed in with San Diego. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Eric Kramer was the last quarterback to take the the Lions to an NFC championship game, Charlton. He departed away from the Bears, and they brought in Shane Matthews, a product of the University of Florida, who did not last.
Did not last, but it's all fair and love and war. It's hard to last when you're playing in this league, Big C. Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Jeff Touchdown Blake, Big C. The Bengals released the great Neil O'Donnell, and that was after the 1998 season, and that's why they changed in 99, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Neil O'Donnell was famously known for throwing a couple of touchdowns to Brown, the defensive back from the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl down in Arizona.
Yeah.
But Jeff Blake really never got a fair shot in the NFL, whether it was with Cincinnati, whether it was Jacksonville, or even Philadelphia, Charlton.
Yeah, Neil O'Donnell was throwing interceptions. Now they just use text messages, Big C. What a better way to try to win the game. If he was texting instead of throwing interceptions, it's all fair and love and war. The Cowboys are still happy. That's the Cowboys' last Super Bowl, Big C, because they were getting a hand. It was right around Christmas time after the holidays. All fair and love and war. Denver Broncos quarterback, the great Brian Greasy, Big C, the only organic move in the bunch as future Hall of Famer touchdown John Elway retired after the 98 season. John Elway, known as a two-time winning Super Bowl champion, but also he'll always be known as the play in Cal and Stafford when the Bears beat the Cardinals back in the day. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Greasy had some big shoes to fill up in Denver, Charlton. Elway had left such a historic legacy. It was hard unless he had gotten into a Super Bowl to overcome that.
Yeah, Elway's done so much. He was, drafted for baseball, decided he didn't want to play for a certain NFL football team, and said, "I'm not going to go. I'm not going." Dragging and kicking and screaming, he didn't have to. They just did what Elway told them. It's all fair and love and war. I want to take you to the Motor City, Joe Louis town. You have quarterback touchdown Charlie Batch. Scott Mitchell started the first two games of the 1998 season, and then it was Frank Wright who started the last game. Batch then opened the 1999 season as the Detroit Lions starter. Big C, your thoughts?
Charlie Batch has a distinctive title, Charlton, of opening the season for a couple of teams. Detroit Lions when he did it in 99, and he's also the last quarterback to open a season for the Pittsburgh Steelers other than Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah, then touchdown Big Ben Roethlisberger. So they were all partying like it's 1999. I want to take you also to another skitty in the Midwest, Big C, the Minnesota Vikings. I really love when they have the Purple People Eaters. They've never quite gotten back to that mantra, Big C. But quarterback touchdown Randall Cunningham, they shipped their opening day starter of 1998, Brad Johnson, to Washington for 3 draft picks, and touchdown Ronald Cunningham was doing his thing, one of the best quarterbacks ever that played for the Minnesota Vikings. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that was the best season in Minnesota Viking history when it comes to historical offensive numbers. Randall Cunningham led the helm of that team, Charlton. It led the league in scoring and yardage.
Led him in scoring and yardage, and I hear that he was such a good player, Big C, that he never played another down in NFL. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it was too much success for that 1 year, Charlton. They brought in Jeff George after that.
Yeah, they brought in touchdown Jeff George after that, and things have not been the same. It's all fair and level war. Something about New York and taking a bite out of that Big Apple. Big C quarterback Kent Graham, who'd been replaced as a bench. He replaced a bench guy by the name of Danny Cannell, Big C, as the Giants starter 10 games into the 1998 season. Big C, your thoughts?
This was the carousel that started the hunt for Eli Manning's career, Charlton. The Giants went through the wasteland looking for quarterbacks.
They went through the wasteland. In fact, they went looking so much they built the stadium on the wasteland. From what I understand, it's all fair in East Rutherford, New Jersey. New York Jets quarterback touchdown Vinny Testaverde doing his thing at the U down in Miami, then taking his act to the NFL. Glenn Foley, he opened the 1998 season before a rib injury forced him to the sideline, and then touchdown Vinny Testaverde opened the 1999 season. Big C, your thoughts?
You talk about a journeyman quarterback, Charlton, after being the number 1 overall draft pick by Tampa Bay.
Yep.
Vinny Testaverde made the rounds in the NFL, and New York was one of those stops.
Yeah, he's probably one of the rare quarterbacks that had better receivers in college at the U than he had played in the NFL of that basis. To you, Big C. Man, it's hard to say this name without feeling a little bit of need for some Pepto-Bismol, Big C. The erstwhile Oakland Raiders decided they want to go down to the city of bright lights instead of the city that turns off the lights at nighttime. But you think about it, back in the day when they were so great, you had the Oakland Raiders quarterback Rich Touchdown Gannon, Big C. The last time they went to the Super Bowl, they had Rich Touchdown Gannon throwing the ball. Jeff George, who started the 1998 season opener. You have Rich Gannon started a 6-year run behind center with the Raiders, Big C. That also included an MVP award in the 2002 season, Big C. Your thoughts?
And he had to go up against John Gruden and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers down in San Diego, Charleston, and the Raiders did not come out well in that Super Bowl. But Rich Gannon had a historical run from being drafted as a defensive back when he first came into the NFL by the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, by the Vikings. He had the chance to throw out to Tim Brown. He had receivers Tim Brown. He had touchdowns Jerry Rice, and he was doing his thing. I really remember that year. The Raiders, they were such a good run under him. But it's all fair and love and war. Maybe they'll get back to that when they move back to Oakland. If that makes sense. All fair and love and war. Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles making a lot of moves even to this day. Think about this. Quarterback Doug Peterson, after using 3 different starters on the way to a 3-13 finish in 1998, the Eagles used a second-round pick of the 1999 draft, and they selected touchdown Donovan McNabb out of Syracuse, their quarterback of the future. And I think he took them to the Super Bowl, but really is probably still not the most beloved of all the Eagles quarterbacks. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, he took them to 5 consecutive NFC championship games. You think about that run that he and Andy Reid had there in Philadelphia. But Doug Peterson is still a name that keeps coming up in Philadelphia. Not only did he play quarterback there and was an offensive coordinator, Charleston, and won a Super Bowl with them.
Yeah.
And now, his quarterback that he had has gone to Indianapolis.
Yeah, Indianapolis. Just a little footnote. Donovan McNabb was doing some media work. He actually was criticizing some things about Carson Wentz that the organization agreed with, but people hated him for telling the truth. And it just so happened the guy who told the truth about is at another team. Now, it's all fair and love and war. People can think whatever they want to think. I want to bring you up to a team in beautiful, sunny, erstwhile San Diego Chargers. They're back up in Los Angeles where they started. But quarterback Jim Harbaugh, Ryan Leaf, who had just started as a rookie in 1999, Big C, he suffered a season-ending shoulder injury in training camp in 1999. So then Harbaugh started. That's a lot like this year with Tyrod Taylor and then Justin Herbert. They got injured. But sometimes you don't get injured by your opponent. You get injured by somebody on your team, or sometimes your doctor. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jim Harbaugh was an ever-ready veteran quarterback that was there at a moment's notice. San Diego made the trade for him, and he got a chance to get back in the starting lineup.
Got a chance to get back in the starting lineup. It's all fair and love and war. St. Louis, man, the erstwhile St. Louis Rams, they decided to come back because they said they lost the Wizard of Oz, and Dorothy said there's no place like home, so they came back to California. Quarterback touchdown Kurt Warner, newly signed Trent Green, was supposed to take over for Tony Banks, if you recall. That was for the 1999 season, Big C. But Green, he suffered a season-ending knee injury in the preseason, and from there, the greatest show on turf was born. Big C, your thoughts?
Out of the smoke came Kurt Warner, Charleston, and he smoked the NFL for a number of years after that. Back-to-back Super Bowl appearances with the Rams, also a league MVP.
Yeah, from out of the smoke. Be careful when the smoke is fire. The greatest show on turf, the all fair and love and war. Up in the great Northwest, Seattle Seahawks quarterback John Kitna, Big C, came out of a small college program up in the Northwest. Touchdown Warren Moon, maybe the greatest quarterback to ever face discrimination, led the Washington Huskies to a Rose Bowl, and they did not like his complexion, so the NFL would not hire him. He went to Canada, won 5 Grey Cups, Big C. He started 10 games in 1998 as a 42-year-old man, moved to Kansas City as Kitna won the team's starting job in the 1999 season. Big C, your thoughts?
Kitna was like that fly, Charleston. You could never get him down and stuff. And he kept rising up and making his way around through the NFL.
Kept rising up, making his way around through the NFL. And you think about the great Warren Moon, he's still one of the top passing quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. And they made him go out of the country to find work. A lot like a lot of men have had to do, if that makes sense to you. We opened up talking about civil rights for Black History Month, Big C. Final thing before we get to the Big C pause. It's all fair and love and war, Big C. Washington football team. My, how things have changed. They used to be called the Washington Redskins. Quarterback, touchdown Brad Johnson. After Trent Green, have been the team starter in 1998. Washington traded his first, second, and third round picks to the Minnesota Vikings for Brad Johnson as the 1999 team starter. Big C, your thoughts? All right, Big C, we're having a little bit of problem with the phone line. I guess Ted Cruz decided instead of using his own cell phone, he's trying to hike the Big C Sports podcast line. It's all fair and level war. But it was Washington football team quarterback Brad Johnson after Trent Green had been the team starter the 1998 season, Big C. Washington traded his first, second, and third round picks to the Minnesota Vikings for Brad Johnson as the team starter in 1999, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Johnson didn't last long in D.C., Charlton, before he migrated south down to Tampa Bay, where he went on to lead that team to his first franchise Super Bowl victory.
Yeah, it's amazing how many teams have had guys come in and do their thing, and then they get traded out. So everybody thinking about where someone's going to end up this year. It's happened before, and a lot of guys land on their feet as long as they keep their eyes focused on the prize. I know everybody talks about great quarterbacks and the great touchdown. Colin Kaepernick did his thing, set records at Nevada, also set records in the NFL, and then out of work. A lot of other quarterbacks have been in and out of the NFL pipeline. But when they throw the ball, they usually want someone to catch it, unless it's the Kansas City Chiefs in this year's Super Bowl Big C. A lot of guys should use to stick them. But touchdown Travis Kelce is on a list of being in a league of his own, Big C. The tight end receiving yards leader over the last 5 seasons. Think about this. Travis Kelce, he's a tight end. 6,144 yards. Give me your thoughts on why he's been so consistent. Even had a good Super Bowl, but he did drop a couple of passes too, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about the way that offense is designed in Kansas City, there's going to be a lot of open lanes for the tight end. Not just with Patrick Mahomes, but also when Alex Smith was quarterbacking there, Charlton.
Yep.
This offense has been designed with a plethora of wide receivers that can spread the field, and there's always underneath routes for the tight end.
Yeah, always underneath routes for the tight end, Big C. Also, number 2 on the list is Zach Ertz, another great tight end. That's one of the NFL yardage leaders over the last 5 seasons. 4,054 yards, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, he's been the top receiver in that troubled Eagles offense. They just have not had the wide outs there, Charlton, consistently to help the quarterbacks out and go deep. They've always been injured.
Yeah, always been injured. There's another player that I think is just dynamic, plays for the San Francisco 49ers, came out of Iowa. His name is Touchdown George Kittles. He's one of the rare tight ends that once you hit him, it's not over. He's not got a place to run out of bounds, Big C, at 3,579 yards, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, he has to find a way to stay healthy, Charlton. He's become injury-prone the past couple of years, and that will always shorten your career. Ask Rod Gronkowski.
Yeah, it was Jimmy G that threw the ball high, and he jumped and tried to catch it, and some good old boy took his knee out. It's all fair and level war, but some guys should never hit another player in the knee. I want to bring up a player by the name of Jared Cook, 3,170 yards. Another good old boy as a tight end, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, he's been favorable in playing in a couple of high-powered offensive systems, Charlton, as of late down in New Orleans.
As of late down in New Orleans, Big C. Here's another player that's tall enough to play basketball, number 5 on the list for most yards as a tight end, receiving yards over the last 5 years, and that's touchdown Jimmy Graham, doing his thing for a couple of organizations, 2,982 yards. And, man, there was a time when I thought that he was unstoppable, but, you know, Father Time catches up to everybody, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's what he did do. He played basketball in college down at the University of Miami. He became a football player in the NFL with the New Orleans Saints and was an all-pro tight end for several years down there.
Yeah, all-pro tight end, several years. I remember seeing him come out to Seattle. He's always done a pretty good job, but he did go up and get balls like he was rebounding basketball. It's all fair and level war. And speaking of NFL, I want to talk about some quarterbacks, Big C, and particularly, not Johnny Unitas, even though Unitas did his thing for the Horseshoes, the Colts, Big C, but I want to get your thoughts on what the Colts, well, old Carson Wentz, 2021, $10 million roster bonus, $15.4 million salary guarantee, $25.4 million cap hit, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's normal for a franchise quarterback when you're looking at $25 million. That's actually kind of a bargain for a guy who has somewhat proven himself in the NFL versus going out drafting someone coming out of college and hoping that they do develop.
Yeah,
Look at the number of quarterbacks that were drafted last year and their productivity.
Yeah, that's very well said, Big C. 2022, $22 million salary, $15 million guaranteed, $1,000 roster bonus, $22 million cap hit also. In 2023, $20 million salary, $5 million roster bonus, $25 million cap hit. And then 2024, Big C, you're looking at $21 million salary, $5 million roster bonus, and a $26 million cap hit. He comes with a high price tag, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's $100 million. Look at any team right now with a starting quarterback that is not on his rookie contract. That's actually kind of a bargain price when you look at the value of it. I mean, look what Deshaun Watson just signed for 4 years, $160 million last year down in Houston.
Yeah.
Look at what Mr. Mahomes signed for. So there's quarterbacks out there making that kind of money, Charlton. Ben Roethlisberger's on the hook for $41 million to the Steelers this year.
Yeah. I know there's so much talk about Big Ben Roethlisberger. He's had a phenomenal career. And, he came in and won a Super Bowl. Cowher's really happy about that. I remember just seeing him over the years. You don't realize he's not really an old man. He's just old for football age, Big C. And even though the Steelers started out 11-0 last year, I think there was a player also by the name of Joe Gilliam that had 11 wins starting for the Steelers when Terry Bradshaw was injured. I guess he had an injured elbow. And then, Bradshaw came back in and the rest of the story. But two guys, 11 wins with the Steelers. One decided they were going to bench him under Chuck Noll. And then Big Ben, you think Tomlin can even afford to keep him if they look at making the playoff run, because if you look in their division, Baltimore Ravens look solid, mobile quarterback. Cleveland Browns look solid, mobile quarterback. Joe Burrow, not that mobile, but he's going to be younger, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you can look at the 11-0 start, but you got to realistically look at the 1-6 finish.
Yeah.
That's what you have to look at with the Steelers, actually 1-5 finish. That's the number that's important, not the 11-0. It's the 1-5 finish.
So if you're the Steelers and you have a, football's a mean business. Deshaun Jackson got let go for the Philadelphia Eagles today, one of Long Beach Poly's finest football players ever. Mercedes Lewis played it for the same team, but about 20 years later, Big C. And then he was one of Cal Berkeley's finest players, and the Eagles say, hey, we got to let you go. He was down at Tampa before, and then they sent him back to Philadelphia. Got to let him go because he had some injuries this year too. But at some point in time, you got to have a conversation with Big Ben. If you look at his counterpart, Tom Brady, when he was in New England, there was talk that Kraft wanted Brady there, but Belichick didn't want him there. And maybe that attitude to show that I can prove to you that you were wrong, it helped him when he went down to Tampa, even though Tampa has a lot of good players, Big C. You think Big Ben would do better by testing the free market? And they got to take the cap hit anyway, Big C. Your thoughts?
Nobody's going to sign Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger needs to just show a little grace and retire. He's the last quarterback from his draft class. Phillip Rivers is gone. Eli Manning is gone. When I looked at Ben Roethlisberger in that last playoff game against the Cleveland Browns, I didn't know whether I was looking at Ben Roethlisberger or Drew Brees. Neither one of them could throw the ball 20 yards.
Yeah, it's tough when it gets old. I remember, as a boxing metaphor, I remember seeing Muhammad Ali that I had so much affection for, maybe my greatest athlete ever, the great Muhammad Ali. Not just because of what he did in the ring, but what he did outside of the ring. He was one of the most dynamic fighters and athletes in the history of the universe. People still respect what Ali accomplished to this day, Big C. But when I saw him beat up George Foreman, I was at a training with George Foreman. He was sparring over in the Bay Area, and I was there with my brothers, Big C. He actually called one of my brothers up to the ring to spar with him. My brother said, no, I'm not fighting you. But at the same time, I was afraid that he was going to beat Ali. Ali was smart. He did the rope-a-dope. He knew how to box and not just fight. But when I saw Ali get taken down by Larry Holmes, who also loved Ali, and he was saying, stop the fight, stop the fight. How come football players don't have that going for them, if that makes sense, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that was Larry Holmes saying stop the fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't Ali saying stop the fight. He was willing to stand there and take the beating.
Exactly.
That's what athletes do. They don't have quit in their system. That's what makes you an elite athlete, is that you don't know how to give up. And people have to tell you that it's time for you to go, and that's where it is with Ben. He's had to talk with the management and coaching staff.
Yeah.
They told him he's a Steeler right now, but there's no guarantee in the future that he will be. So Ben Roethlisberger won't make it another month as a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Larry Holmes had so much respect for Ali, he was telling the ref stop the fight, Big C. But it's all fair and level war. Sometimes people go a little bit too longer, and you got to be dragged off the field, if that makes sense to you. Speaking of dragging off the field, or dragging on the field, and people doing great things, we talked about the great work that Muhammad Ali did, the great work that Colin Kaepernick is doing to this day. There is a name in the state of Texas, not Ted Cruz, but he plays for the Dallas Cowboys, and there's a great movie star. Well, sometimes people say sports and politics don't mix. It does mix, Big C, but also sports and acting mix as well. Dallas Cowboy quarterback, the great touchdown Dak Prescott, Big C, and actor Matthew McConaughey, who also, I believe, went to the University of Texas, they help buy meals. I want people to hear this. It's Black History Month. One guy's black, one guy's white. Doesn't matter what color you are. What matters is the color of your heart. As Senator Ted Cruz took his family out of Texas because it was too cold for his kids, as millions of people are boiling water in Texas, Cruz gets on an airplane. I guess he was too lazy to climb over that wall that they were trying to build. And then he gets criticized and he comes back. But when Cruz got on an airplane, took his kids down to Cancun, it was quarterback, touchdown, Dak Prescott for the Cowboys, that Jerry Jones liked playing with him like a little puppet. And think about this. Actor Matthew McConaughey, Big C, they were helping buy meals for homeless people, Dallas area residents staying at the city's convention center during one of the worst storms in the history of Texas. That's true leadership. They stayed, Big C. They have enough money to get on a plane and leave too. What is it about Dak Prescott, Matthew McConaughey, that stayed behind to help people, and then Ted, whatever you want to call him, Senator Ted Cruz, leaving, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, I think the people of Texas need to look at the people that they voted for. When you look at Ted Cruz, you look at Governor Abbott down in Texas, Charlton, those people who have done nothing for them, they turned their back on them in the devastation of this winter storm.
Yeah.
You know, you have a person that the Republicans like to criticize a lot, Congresswoman AOC out of New York. She's raised $2 million for her constituents, Charlton, and she's headed down to Texas tomorrow to help out those local residents. You think about Beyonce Knowles, who's a resident who was born in Texas.
Yeah.
She has had her foundation put together a donation fund, Charlton, to help out the people down in Texas. So when we think about the people of the state of Texas, it hasn't been the politicians doing a damn thing for them, Charlton.
No.
They would rather leave the state and leave them to freeze and starve. But those people that are not elected officials have done more than the elected officials.
Yeah, I just wish. I mean, I appreciate, and they don't have to come out and make it be known what they've done. They could be behind the scenes. It's not as if they're doing it for publicity. They could have gone down to Cancun with Ted Cruz. But they chose to stay and help people. And that's so important to say that, because oftentimes you have people that help cause an insurrection that left and let their people starve, while good people that can't get a contract stayed behind. I mean, it's all fair and level war. Big C, I want to touch a little bit on the world of college football. You know, I miss it already. I really can't wait for the kickoff of the 2020 Kickoff Classic when Oregon beats Georgia down in Texas. Speaking of all places in Texas, Big C. But the unique challenges for NFL scouts in evaluating college players, Big C, during the pandemic, more than perhaps ever before. The NFL scouts, they're going to have to rely on college tapes. But Big C, that's how they did it back in the day. Coaches would send out tapes so they could be evaluated, Big C. And then also character references, Big C. That's how Urban Meyer hires people based on their character reference. You can get fired for a lot of bad things, and Urban Meyer will bring you on anyway as far as his reference. But give me your thoughts about that. It's kind of like going back to the way things used to be, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's been a long time, and I don't think there's anybody left around in the scouting departments or coaching departments, Charlton, that dealt with the NFL in those days. So they've all been used to going to Indianapolis during the combine.
Yeah.
And not only that, being able to go on campus, Charlton, for those universities holding the workouts.
Yeah.
All of that's been slowed down because of the pandemic. So you're going to have to rely a lot more on tape, and as you say, getting character references from coaches and other people around these players. And, you know, the draft will be a lot different, even more different than what it was last year, Charlton.
Yeah, I remember they were supposed to go down in Las Vegas and do it on the water. and the Raiders went down to Vegas anyway, so they saw the Raiders were there. They decided to turn around and not do it in Las Vegas, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's all fair and love and war. And speaking of the Raiders going down to Las Vegas, that's where a lot of guys would go and party anyway. They decided instead of partying in Vegas, they would just stay and live in Vegas, and they can bring the party to them, if that makes sense. Yeah, all fair, love, and war. But the NFL, with the draft set for late April, the best college football players in the country, they're going to be looking for their chance to play in a game at the professional level and make their dreams come true. But the biggest obstacle they're going to face this time around is trying to actually make some of those impressions in person. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, I mean, you know, you're going to have a tougher load this year, Charlton, because you got a salary cap problem with the NFL with the reduction of money that you're spending. And so teams will be looking for players that can make an impact, not building for the future any longer. Yeah,
they always got to figure out, what can you do for me now? In the words of the great Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Is what can you do for me now? All fair and love and war. Big C, I want to take you to the world of the NBA, and I think so many people are getting so happy on the East Coast, maybe because it's frozen out here on the West Coast, it's sunshine, and they can't read too much into what happened last night down at Staples Center, in my opinion. There were no big men in the game for either team that were dominant. You know, Davis was sitting out, and when it comes to the playoffs, you need a big man that's going to dominate the paint. But what I saw last night was a team in the New Jersey Nets. They reminded me somewhat of the Golden State Warriors when they went to 5 championships and won 3 in 5 years with the Splash Brothers, you know, Steph Curry, and you have Klay Thompson, and then Durant came in for 2 of their 3 championships, Big C. But think about this. New Jersey Nets, they topped the Los Angeles Lakers 109-98. It came closer at the end. It was an 11-point win, but there was a time when they were up 20 points, Big C, at Staples Center. So think about that too. Despite a game-high 32 points from LeBron James, who went over, I mean, he just got close to 35,000 points now. He passed 35,000. The only 2 guys ahead of him, the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was also a Laker, and then Karl Malone, who also played for the Lakers. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you got to look at the game last night, Charlton. When they were down by 20 points, you realize the Nets had only taken 1 less shot than the Lakers had at that time and had a 20-point lead.
Yeah.
This was just a dominant team. I mean, the Lakers have big men on their roster. Even though Anthony Davis wasn't in the lineup, neither was Kevin Durant, who would have offset Anthony Davis, Charlton. DeAndre Jordan shut down the middle of the paint against the Lakers.
Yeah, but your magic word, like when they won the championship last year, it was 2 men that you could really point to, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. That's why I'm saying you can't read too much into what happened last night. This team that I saw in Brooklyn last night.
You got to play with who you come to the game with.
Yeah.
You don't worry about who's not in the lineup.
Well, tell that to Patrick Mahomes, who had a rough Super Bowl because his offensive line was missing. You got to play with who's the starters, Big C, and you got to look at all-star players that are missing. It's not about who's not there or who's on your team. It's about what caliber players on your team. But I want to bring this point up to you because, to me, I don't think a lot of people are looking into what's going on in the future. The New Jersey Nets, they're 11-1 against teams with an above 500 record this season. The Lakers are 4-7 versus teams above 500 this season. But there's something called where players can rest or they're not as motivated. I'm not making any excuses for what happened on that floor last night in Los Angeles, but I know the Lakers did not have their A team. There's a reason they have an A team and a B team as the Kansas City Chiefs offensive linemen. But what does that mean when you overperform when you're up against good competition and you underperform when you're up against competition that's not expected to compete against you, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I'll address that excuse you just made. What this means is that when you get into the playoffs is that you're playing against teams with winning records. You're not playing against teams with losing records, which bodes well for the New Jersey Nets, Charlton. When you look at them, they're 11-1 against teams with winning records. It doesn't bode well for the Los Angeles Lakers. They've been playing all year long with their A team, as you say, and against teams with winning records, they're sub 500 at 4-7. So they're going to get into the playoffs, Charlton, and everybody that they face in the playoffs is going to have a winning record. So based on statistics, they're a team that's going to be in trouble in the playoffs.
Well, I doubt that, but I can understand why people might jump to that conclusion. What I saw in Brooklyn last night, James Harden was doing his thing, and so was Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving's like Curly Neal for the Harlem Globetrotters back in the day. He can cross anybody over, Big C. But I remember the Houston Rockets when they had James Harden and they had Chris Paul. They had Russell Westbrook. They had that tandem, a small team, kind of like New Jersey, and they run up and down the court and they were blowing people out. And everybody in the NBA universe, they were saying, "Oh my God, it's over. It's over. Houston's going to win a championship. They're going to knock off Golden State, Big C." The small ball never works. I'm not saying Brooklyn's not a good team. They're probably the second best team in the East. I think Philadelphia is the best team. They got that big man, Joel Embiid, who's going to beat them up in the playoffs. But they got to get a big man. If not, they're going to get muscled out of the playoffs. That's just my opinion, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, they have a big man in DeAndre Jordan, who was one of the dominant centers in the West when he was with the Clippers. And now that he's in New Jersey for his second year, he's holding down the paint. And he can play against Joel Embiid. They're a physical matchup with each other. But the thing about when you talked about Houston and with Harden, with those other players, with Chris Paul and with Westbrook, James Harden didn't play the point there. He's playing the point now in New Jersey. James Harden is a much better point guard than what people give him credit for. Ever since he's been in New Jersey, he's averaged a double-double.
Yeah.
He's had at least a double-digit assist in every game that he's played on average, Charlton. So he's in his natural position at point guard. And to have a point guard that can shoot like him, that's devastating. Because your number two guard, which is, Kyrie Irving, who can shoot the ball, and then you got the Slim Reaper when he's healthy.
Yeah.
This is a formidable challenge for anybody.
Yeah.
And then they got a bench that can go three deep, Charlton, that can come in and challenge anybody.
Yeah, I mean, they got some shooters. They got a good team. But I'm still saying, in point spreads, when they close like that, they close for whatever reason, some shenanigans going on down in Vegas, prop betting and who covered, whatever. And the Lakers, I was saying yesterday, Vegas had the Lakers as a 2.5-point favorite. Somebody was drinking something, Big C, or maybe they ate too many Big C burgers.
Well, you had a team that came in to play, Charles. You got to look at the Nets' record. They're the best team in the NBA against teams with winning records. When you look at Utah is second at 11-3. The Nets are number one at 11-1, Charles. But you got 5 players scoring in double digits. Not only that, this is the first time that the Lakers have been held under 100 points at home. So think about the defense that the Nets put on them also. They played a complete game. Yeah,
you're also looking at a guy that can drop 25 a night that was not playing in the game with Anthony Davis. But it's all fair and love and war. So let me ask you this question. Do you think because they came in, the Lakers were favored by 2.5 by your friends down in Las Vegas? A lot of people make their money by what happens in Las Vegas. These are the same people that picked Kansas City to be a 3.5-point favorite over the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. So has Vegas lost their credibility, or were guys just maybe drinking too many libations? See your thoughts.
No, Charlton, the true bettors know what the numbers are. They knew that the Nets were the best team against teams with winning records, and so the money was on the Nets last night. It wasn't on the Lakers. The Lakers were the only people they fooled were their fans, thinking that they were going to win the game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can say Anthony Davis out of the lineup, but I think that Kevin Durant would account for more points than Anthony Davis would. So if you put those two players in the lineup together, you still have an advantage with the New Jersey Nets.
Well, maybe so, and we may find out I'm telling you, just the way things look now, I would love to see Philadelphia and the Nets.
Answer this one question to me.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis and Kevin Durant have been in the league for several years.
Yeah.
Has there ever been any point in their careers where Anthony Davis has outplayed Kevin Durant?
No. But they did get a championship last year with Anthony Davis, and Durant was banged up.
So Anthony Davis is accounted for 1, Kevin Durant is accounted for 2.
Let me ask
Kevin Durant has a couple MVPs, couple Finals MVPs, couple scoring titles. And I'm trying to remember which one of those that Anthony Davis has other than having that one championship last year.
Let me ask you a question. How many championships, with all the accolades you threw on Kevin Durant, how many championships has he won without Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the lineup, Big C? Your thoughts?
How many has he won without them in the lineup? He was part of that team, so they all won together. Anthony Davis. How many championships have he won without being with LeBron James?
Well, that's my point. They both have gone on to different teams to win. To say that Durant makes more of a difference than Davis, it's just an opinion, but he hasn't proven it without Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And they're not on the team this year, but they do have a similar makeup because they do have Harden and Kyrie Irving. They're a good team. But we'll find out. That's why they play the game.
They will make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, Charlton. That's where the New Jersey Nets will be.
Yeah, you said the same thing last year about the Milwaukee Bucks, and they don't get there, Big C. But everyone, that's why I'm saying it's early in the year. We're not even past the All-Star break. It's all fair and love and war. Only 2 Lakers scored in double digits last night. If Davis is in the game, the ball's going to go through him. That's LeBron James and Kyle Kuzma, who you can't rely on Kuzma, Big C. The Nets had 5 players, as you mentioned, in double digits, led by James Harden, 23 points and 11 assists. But I still think the best player on the floor last night was Kyrie Irving because he has assists too. He just has so much that Harden does this thing. They're a really good team. They just don't have that big dominant player. The Lakers were just 8 of 30 from three-point range. And that's why they lost, because they didn't have the big guy to go down inside and eat all night. The Nets were 18 of 39 from behind the arc. But it's good basketball, and I'm sure we're all going to look forward to maybe seeing that matchup again. But I want to ask you, I want to run through some players real quick, because basketball is so exciting. I know we have the All-Star game coming up down in beautiful Atlanta. If you look at the NBA and you talk about guys that can drop it in the bucket, Big C, the NBA's top 5 scoring leaders, number 1, would you believe, is the great Bradley Beal, Big C. Your thoughts?
Bradley Beal is an outstanding player. It's just sad that he's shackled there in Washington with that losing organization, Charlton. He's one of the top point guards in the NBA. It would be nice if Washington would ship him someplace where he'd have an opportunity to play with a winning team.
Yeah, he's really doing his thing this year. 32.8 points a game. The great Stephen Curry, Golden State, averaging 30 points a game, and he's doing that without his splash brother, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Steph Curry has got back in stride, Charlton. He's leading the NBA in three-point shooting once again, which is his comfort zone. And the Golden State Warriors are going to creep into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. You know, there's a player that a lot of people love. His name is Damian Lillard. I like the way he plays, averaging 29.8 points a game, Big C. At the same time, when you think about what he's doing, Portland is always a team. The last time I saw Portland having a chance to go to the NBA Finals, they reminded me of what I saw last night with the Brooklyn Nets, Big C. But they were split in 4 games by Golden State and Steph Curry. But still, Damian Lillard can do his thing, 29.8 points a game, Big C. Your thoughts?
You know, another one of those solid scoring guards, Charlton. When you think about the 3 leading scorers in the NBA are all guards, and that means that it's still small ball that works in the NBA.
Yeah. Well, I disagree. I just disagree. The Lakers won with the 2 big guys down in the paint last year. Actually 3, but they got 2 of them. Dwight Howard's not there, and they also got rid of JaVale McGee. Luka Doncic, Big C, for Dallas, averages 29.1 points a game. Still such a young man, been playing basketball since he came out of the womb, if that makes sense to you. But Dallas is probably not going anywhere near the playoffs this year, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, he got off to a slow start this season, Charlton. Had some injuries at the beginning of the year. He's picked up his stride and got back into his form of last year. Yeah,
he's a good player. I really love his Euro step. He does his thing. And then we were just talking about the player that he's finally found that mojo. I think a lot of athletes call it being in the zone. I just hope he can stay healthy. I'm not talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo for the Milwaukee Bucks. We were saying Giannis should have left Milwaukee, and he just didn't do it for some reason. He would have done better off in a different program, just my opinion. But Joel Embiid, under Doc Rivers, he's found a way to get his mojo working, Big C. I guess he's getting his groove back, but maybe a groove he's never had. As a big man, he's a guy that can count on now. Joel Embiid's averaging 30 points a game. And he's just now learning to play with a guy like Doc Rivers that really understands him. Give me your feeling on why you don't think that he can dominate the Eastern Conference and bring another championship or at least a finals appearance for the Philadelphia 76ers, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's not that Doc understands him. He listens to Doc. Doc ain't going to take no crap from Joel. Joel is whined and bullied his other coaches. Doc has been there. He's won championships as a player and a coach. Joel has to listen to Doc. And that has made the difference. You know, he has made him cohabitate with Ben Simmons this year, which has made them a better team. But he's had some nagging injuries, Charlton, even early in this season. So it's a matter of him staying healthy for the long run. Yeah, it's a matter of him staying healthy for the long run. It's all fair and love and war. I want people to just Google this. It's Black History Month. Before we finish with the land down under, Big C, Shelby County, Alabama versus Holder, 2013, the United States Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act, making it more difficult
for black Americans and minority communities to vote, Big C. The Republican Party, they're at it again in 2021, heading into the 2022 and 2024 U.S. presidential election. Black History Month, you only hear about this on Big C Sports. They're still trying shenanigans, trying to make it more difficult for people of color to vote, while Ted Cruz goes down to Mexico and leaves his people, Big C, leaves them on frozen pond. People are boiling water, having to find a different way to heat their homes. And these good old boys, they are still trying to keep black Americans facing disproportionate barriers to the ballot box. And that's in 2021. So people can Google that. It's so important. We still face massive disparities and inequalities assessing the right to vote 150 years after the passage of the 15th Amendment, which extended the franchise to black men, Big C. I just hope people keep that in mind as we argue about who's bigger, stronger, and faster, and playing with the ball on some court, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, that's the essence of racism in America, Charlton. And what people have to do is not just vote in the national election, but they need to turn out for the midterms. If they want to see those laws changed, Charlton, you have to turn out for the midterms elections in 2022.
Yeah.
You have to make your voice heard just like you did in 2020 if you want things to change in America, because those racist Republican politicians, Charlton, do not want black people to vote.
They've told you that. They even had an insurrection about it. If people want to know who's going to win the game, it's all fair and level where we tell you both. Big C, final two stories. I believe in equal time for men and especially for women, if that makes sense to you. Australian Open finals is coming up on the men's. You know, Mr. Djokovic is aiming for his third straight title, Australian Open, against Daniel Medvedev, Big C. There's something about seeing people who are consistently good at whatever they do. And I know a lot of people on the land down under, they're going to see some of the best tennis. And it's amazing. Djokovic already the all-time men's record with 8 Australian Open championships. He's seeking his 18th Grand Slam title. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, when you look at Djokovic, you think of him as the Terminator. This guy is so determined, Charlton, and he doesn't get distracted. He is like a machine when he's out there on the court. He is grit and determination, and I see him pulling this off for his 8th, Charlton. His 9th title record.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. Also for the women, the beautiful women of the universe. It's amazing. You look at Naomi Osaka, Big C, and she's going to be doing her thing against Jennifer Brady. Osaka, she's only 23 years old. Number 3 seed faces the number 22 seed and Jennifer Brady on Saturday, Big C. It's amazing. Osaka, who is 23, defeated the great Serena Williams in the semifinals, seeking her 4th Grand Slam event title, and 2nd in Melbourne. She's 3-0 in major finals, adding a 20-match winning streak. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, she's never lost the finals, Charlton, and I don't think that she'll lose her first down in Australia. The way that she handles Serena Williams in straight sets, that means that she's well rested and focused.
Yeah, she's well rested and focused. I hope that everybody can stay warm in the great state of Texas, and I hope that everybody has a great holiday. It's not a holiday, but it is Black History Month. I still want to ask President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to make it Black History Day. And I heard President Joe Biden, he was giving a conference and he was saying back in the day, okay, and he said, I'll be back. It's all fair level war. I love the things that are going on in our nation's capital. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? Big C, what are you looking forward to in this sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm looking forward to an NFL team making a big move with a quarterback over the weekend, as we saw last weekend in the golf trade to Detroit. Yep. I think another team will pull the string this weekend and make a move for their franchise. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, our nurses, doctors, our first responders. They make moves every day to keep America healthy.
They keep everybody healthy, and you can stay healthy too. Always rise and shine every day, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.